Hi, and welcome to the Holistic Podcast. I am Georgiana, and I welcome you to the podcast, your source of health, happiness, and harmony. And today I have the honor and the pleasure to speak with Nancy Michieli. She is a creator of Love to Be Me, a movement to revive women's feminine superpower to win in life and in business. After 25 years as an engineer in the oil and gas industry, she found her greatest successes occurred when she engaged her feminine energy, and this I love because it's one of my passions. Nancy is trained both as a holistic life, career, and executive coach, and a rapid transformational therapy practitioner. Hi, Nancy, and welcome to the Holistic Podcast.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
So please let us know how you made this transition from an engineer in an oil and gas company and industry to working with women, because it's quite a shift, isn't it?
It is a shift, and it's a really great shift for me, because what I realized is that there was a period of time where I was challenged in the oil and gas industry for using a lot of feminine energy and power, and I was being really, really successful at it. And then I received some negative criticism about it because it didn't fit in with the very masculine male way of doing things. And so I took that criticism to heart and became very, very driven and very, very from a masculine standpoint of goals and driving things. And I would tell you, it made me so uncomfortable, so unhappy as a woman in using that very masculine energy. And yes, I can do it. I can drive goals. I can achieve results from that perspective. But it feels more from a perspective of power as opposed to a perspective of engagement and development of people. So I sought a coach, and that coach happened to be a guy, but he gave me feedback that I needed to be more of myself. I needed to be more aligned with my natural personality, my natural intuition, my natural creativity, which are all very much feminine qualities, and use those. And as soon as I did, my career actually in engineering exploded and took back off again. I felt more like myself, but I thought, in the oil and gas industry and in the engineering world, being very, very male dominated, women need to realize that creating and connecting to this feminine energy will help them be far more successful. And that feminine energy is also in men. And so by utilizing that, as opposed to just driving from masculine energy sources, will help people succeed better. And so this led me on a journey to go, how do I help women discover this secret?
It sounds fascinating, and for me it sounds also familiar. I have been practicing the holistic yoga system for 31 years, and in this system we speak a lot about energies and how to learn to become aware of them, to control them, so that you can do the best of it. And of course, in this system, we also speak about polarity of energies, the feminine and the masculine energy, and the fact that we all, as human beings, we are alive due to the fact we are, like, from a certain point of view, like a battery. You have a minus and a plus pole, and you have to have both. We have both energies in us, but as women, we have predominantly feminine energies, as men, and men have predominantly masculine energies. So of course, if you as a woman behave mostly like a man, you go a little bit against your inner nature, your nature, and that cannot make you happy. So I'm a bit curious, concretely and practically, in that industry, what meant to to behave in a feminine manner. I'm just curious because I'm not familiar with the oil and gas industry. So I would like to know if you want to share how you were doing whatever you were doing there from the feminine perspective, with a feminine touch upon it.
So I had received a position where I had no background or experience in how to do it. And it was running what they call turnarounds. So this is where you've got a lot of construction workers who all have backgrounds in pipe fitting and boilermakers, and they know how to put things together and take things apart, and they're really, really good at it. And I was put in charge of a position that required me to do it. And so as somebody who's a really good project manager, I understand the process of putting projects together. But what typically happens in the oil and gas industry, and what typically happens in even big corporations, is that as engineers, we're supposed to be the smart ones, the ones who know how to do everything. So we actually plan it typically for people and then hold people accountable to do it. I actually flipped that on the head because I didn't have a background and I didn't have the knowledge of how this process works. So for me, I use the ability to engage, to listen more, and ask for their opinion, to be more from a receiver standpoint, as opposed to being outward in directing the work. And because of that, I was able to save $5 million on this one event out of a $30 million budget, because I listened. I took time to have them be the experts and surround myself with great people who I really used a lot of fun with, in connection. When I say flirty, I mean to be more playful in the business, right? Not be so driving expectations down. And I allowed my own creativity as well as the creativity of the men who were working for me. I had 1,000 people working for me. And so I needed them all to be aligned and to be able to go the same direction. And with no background in a very short period of time, if I didn't engage the processes truly of listening, of trusting and surrendering to them, to allow them to do what they do best. And my job was really just to kind of coach and nurture and bring those philosophies together that they did. So it's almost the reverse of directing and giving very specific methods on how things were done.
Wow, it sounds very impressive, having so many people to work together and make them work well. It requires quite a lot, so it's fascinating, and I can totally understand how putting a team of that magnitude together could work so well when you just allow people to do what they are best at, instead of just making them do things.
Yes, and I believe that in corporations, all of the people who work there want to show up and do a really good job. And I have this belief that when you give them the opportunity, my job in the past as a leader has been to break down the barriers so that they can do their job really, really well, as opposed to being someone who puts so many rules around them that prevents them from being as successful as they can be as a team. And when I do that, when I get to even just go out and coach and mentor young engineers and help them discover, that gives me such freedom and such energy that I can truly feel it within myself, and the ability to do that.
So now you are coaching women and helping them to rely a little bit more on their feminine side and feminine powers.
Yes.
Did I understand correctly?
Yes. Yeah. So my goal and the part of my coaching has kind of twofold. So one is using rapid transformational therapy, which is a form of hypnosis where we can go back and rework out some of the wiring that we have been given as women, and that we need to behave more like boys in the industry, that we need to work hard and drive goals, and that limits the concept of being more nurturing and surrendering and allowing those things to happen. So I use rapid transformational therapy to do one-on-one with my clients to help go back and we rewire and inspire the feminine person within them. And then I use coaching to help them implement it into their day-to-day lives and start to find what I call inspired action to help them achieve the results depending on what situation they're in. Because even as you change, you have to realize that some people around you will be kind of a little disjointed because of that, right? And so how do you help that process go along? How do you help your team, if you're working in industry, change and modify because your behavior has now changed by becoming in tune and aligned with your feminine energies?
I have been coaching and working with women for the past 28 years, and for me this is by far my favorite action or activity to do. I have been meeting probably thousands of women by now, and listening to you, I just remembered working with women who were employed in, for example, banks or universities or places with also a lot of men around at the workplace. I was encouraging them to do exactly the same work, but to have a little bit of more of the feminine approach to it, and more of the feminine, to allow their feminine nature to manifest a little bit more. And I was even encouraging them, you can be just a little bit more playful, and even you can wear dresses, is allowed to wear a dress or a skirt, not to have a suit all the time. And one of them, I could notice that one of the women got scared. You could really see the facial expression, and she said, I asked her what's going on, so please share with us. And she said, I'm afraid that if I will be feminine also from that point of view, like dressing feminine, they will not appreciate me anymore. They will think I will have I'm not professional, I'm not having enough pondus in my work, so I'm afraid to wear a dress or a skirt. And so the discussion was longer. I was helping her to understand that it's your attitude that attracts a certain response from people. So if you can be dressed very feminine and still people will respect you, because it's your attitude, it's not your dress achieving that. But it's interesting to see the mindset that is going on, especially in big companies where there are a lot of men.
Yes. And the other thing that I find is we learn things such as to do things such as lean in, like we need to be almost more kind of aggressive in our approach. And I don't necessarily believe that is necessary. I think if you can find the internal confidence with yourself, then you start to glow. You start to have this energy that you're able to share and put out there, and that people will start to respect and be attracted to that confidence that comes within you, right? Like, as you said, when it doesn't matter what you're wearing, because when I do projects in the oil refinery, and it sounds really funny, is we wear coveralls and hard hats and work boots, and I will actually have a dress under it, and I'll hike the skirt up and put the work boots on, go out into the refinery, have the discussion with the guys, and then come back in and take it off and be back to my feminine self. And I've been teased about wandering around the office with like work boots on and a dress. But it's allowing your personality come through. And when you are aligned with the best of who you are able to project that even better from that center. And it doesn't need to come from a state of power. It comes from a state of internal confidence and self-awareness.
And I also noticed that when your feminine side, when you are at peace with you being a woman, and you manifest your feminine nature and your feminine side, and you are self-confident, and you do not search for any type of, you don't try to please people in any manner, you just be yourself as a woman. This is also very attractive for men, but from another point of view, not this, I'm a man, you are a woman, and I'm attracted to you as a woman. They are attracted to you just being natural and exuding this spontaneity and just being at ease. They are attracted to that much more than a woman being very correct at work and having this, now I'm one of the boys. I noticed that those men that I know, they don't respect as much a woman who tries to be one of the boys as a woman who is at ease as being a woman and manifesting her feminine nature in a professional manner. Am I right? Did you experience that too?
Yes, I would agree with that completely. And I find the boys respect you more. And the other thing I would say in relation to the boys or the men that I've worked with is when I feel good in my feminine self, and the boys will respect me for that, but I also feel very comfortable with the boys being boys, right? Like sometimes we're like, oh, they're misbehaving, and it's like, okay, they're guys, let them just be guys and have that little bit of fun, as opposed to creating this like method that it comes from this weakness inside of us. I think if we are confident in ourselves, then when boys are boys, we just let them be, right? We just let them enjoy themselves. And because of that, because I do that, I have had people who've worked for me many years later stop me on the street and say how much fun it was to work for me, just because I allowed them to be their natural nature and I was my natural nature. It's when we try to not do that I think we get that conflict and difficulty.
For me, it's also, I think it's common sense that if you are your natural self and you somehow want the people to accept you for who you are, you should do the same for them. You cannot just, okay, I will manifest my feminine nature, but please, men, behave. Don't do this and don't do that. If I am free to manifest my feminine nature, they are free to manifest their masculine nature. And also I noticed that it creates a very positive tension. So not tension in the negative meaning of the word, but tension in the positive. It's a very special attraction, and it creates very good polarity and interplay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, very, very much so. Very, very much so. And this is where I like in my program, I call it to be more fun, flirty, and fabulous. This is where you're flirting, right? But it's not a sexual type thing. It's just that fun little balance and that polarity and that interrelationship that you can have that can be so easy and effortless at work when you allow people just to be in their personal nature.
Can we call it an intellectual flirting?
Yeah, an intellectual flirting. That's exactly it, right? Like it's done at that level. Mm-hmm. And it creates more joy, and I think people work better together because then they become more creative together, right? Because they can bounce, they feel comfortable bouncing ideas off each other. They feel good working together and very respectful of each other, which I think is really important.
And I also noticed, because I am interacting with both, I'm working both with men and women, but when I do my best. I do my best to just be myself. And of course, I'm a woman, so I will manifest quite feminine. I noticed that when I am manifesting my feminine nature and I'm just allowing them to be themselves. It's also creating, they feel accepted, they feel understood. And
Yes.
then, of course, things move, so the work goes much better, because when you just accept each other and understand each other, there is not so much friction. There is no need for competing with each other or proving yourself better than the other one. It's
Right.
a flow in the whole
Yes.
process, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is very much a flow. And I think what happens is when women feel very comfortable being women and being in that place and allow men to be men, men actually start to engage with some of their feminine qualities, right? With some of those feminine energies. And you get this really nice balance going back and forth between both parties in both their feminine and masculine energies at that right level, at that way that it's designed and natural to be. And so I think you end up creating these really good synergies and synchronicities together that you're able to manifest bigger things. Like I think you're able to create at a larger level when both parties when both men and women are working at their optimum in their masculine and feminine balance. And I think men feel more confident and more comfortable using some of their feminine traits if they're around other women and people who feel very comfortable and confident in that as well.
Have you noticed a little bit of a stereotypes regarding what means to be a woman and what means to be a man? I have noticed quite many. So I also noticed that as long as we misunderstood, for example, women misunderstood what really implies to be a woman, and men misunderstands what really implies to be men, things will not work so well. Have you also noticed some stereotypical thinking regarding what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a woman, what is supposed to be a man?
Yes, so I do believe that there is a lot of stereotypical thinking, and that's why I use rapid transformational therapy to help people, especially women, overcome some of that programming, right? Like, okay, you need to be a mother, you need to behave from this perspective, where men's jobs are to go to work, to earn the salary, right? To do the kind of more tough jobs. And so there are those balances, and even kind of the balance, especially in the engineering world, is that if a woman takes time off, right, to have a baby and be a mom, that there's a whole bunch of stereotypical things in relation to just even the thinking about, oh, she's going to need time off, or corporations will be like, oh, you know what, she's at that age where she's going to give birth. Do we promote her? Right? And those things really have huge impacts, still very much in the corporations. And so one of the things is, how do you balance that work? How do you help women still be able to do the role of giving birth? Because right at the moment, I'm pretty sure no men can do that. And then give men the confidence and comfort to feel that, you know what, if they wanted to take the time off to look after their child while their wife went to work. I'm seeing that more and more in the younger generation where that is, but some of the older generation, right, is still very much in that mindset, and they make decisions on women, especially men and women, and opportunities in their career based on those facts.
I also believe that this wrong understanding of what really means to be a woman and what really means to be a man, to understand these roles not as competitors but complementing each other, is also creating at the level of society quite a lot of tensions. And basically, if we look just outside the window, we'll see, you'll understand what I'm speaking about. Even this with not being paid the same, even if you do exactly the same work, and so on and so forth. And women shouldn't do this, and men shouldn't do that. I hope that soon we will have also this type of information in schools and in families, so that young girls and young boys will be clear about what it means to have your gender, what it implies, so there will be no competitions and no misunderstandings. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope it will be in the near future.
Yeah, and I really, really hope that especially the generation that is coming up, that is moving into the workplace, that they have this opportunity, they have this freedom to realize that there is a balance. I have been very, very lucky in my career in achieving equal pay for the work in comparison to my male counterparts. And it's one of those things that I've been trying to analyze in myself. It's like, what am I doing as a woman that has set me into the position to be able to achieve that result where other women can't? Although I was reading an interesting study that more women work part-time than men, and in comparison, women who work part-time will get paid better than men who work part-time. So I thought that was also a really kind of interesting study and evaluation where, yeah, depending on the role you're in and depending on whether you're a male or a female, right, determines what you will receive and what you get, and trying to get to in balance based on the quality of work and the skills that they have and their ability to achieve great results should be what drives people's salary and pay and those types of things. And I do look forward to the time where it is balanced, where it is set up appropriately for people.
And I also am looking forward to, if possible, all women appreciating themselves, valuing themselves, and not allowing this collective subconscious belief that women are less worthy than men, because every time I'm speaking with women, I encourage them not to point fingers. It never helps. So of course we can point fingers and we can say the society is unequal, or we are treated less than men because of men. But you know, I have been in Italy. I've been invited to many countries. I've been also in Italy and keeping a workshop there over the weekend. I've noticed that irrespective of the topic of the workshop I keep, many questions are related to relations, and especially couple relations. So women started speaking a little bit about relations with men and complaining a little bit about that. So at a certain point, I start laughing, and they ask me, why do you laugh? Because this is a serious matter. We feel that we should be treated better, and women are treated as you are good just to go in the kitchen and cook some food and give birth to babies, and that's the mentality. And I said, do you know why I laugh? Please let me know who raised those men.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it was silent when they realized that actually women raise men and somehow teach them to think like that. So if we want to make a change, we start the transformation with ourselves. So I really do hope that in a future that I can experience, we will understand that both men and women are equally worth, and we have a role to play. And when we play our roles as we are supposed to, many things will be much better.
And I think women have a greater voice than we give ourselves credit for. And so I think when we start to use that voice and we start to own that voice, and we teach our children and teach even our sisters and our friends in my program, I have this methodology that I call each one teach one, because I only have time to work with the one person that I'm working with. I expect them to go out and share this message with other women, because if women keep complaining, and I was having this discussion with a couple of Australian ladies that I connect with on a weekly basis, we talk about how in industry, especially, women don't support each other. We are really, really good at complaining and giving negative feedback to each other and to the men, but we really need to start supporting each other. We really need to encourage, as the feminine and women, that we are great and that we are the creators of life. And as part of that responsibility of creating life, we can create the change that we want to see. So instead of just like standing up at City Hall or in corporations and saying, I need to be treated like a man, start to act like the woman you want to be, and start to ripple that and ensure that you can respect and encourage other women, and then encourage your sons and your daughters to grow up with these beliefs that we are more than just women who stay at home and have babies, and we can change that mindset. But we first need to start with ourselves. We need to change that internally, because if we don't change it with us, then nobody else will believe it.
Exactly. Nobody else will come and change it for us. So I totally agree with what you said. And this, with supporting each other and encouraging each other, it's also crucial.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy that I meet you, and that we are like-minded, because we basically think the same. And probably what we teach has maybe a different terminology, but I can notice that the ground of it, we stand on the same ground. We have the same vision upon it. So I'm very happy.
Yes, yeah, it's such a pleasure to meet you and to connect with someone with these visions and ideas, and I'm really excited about what I think the future of women can be if we start to own more of our feminine energy.
Yes, and also to collaborate with each other instead of competing with each other, because competing is not a feminine trait, actually.
Right, exactly. Collaboration is, and there's a lot of women and men who need to hear the same message. What I find with my podcast is I'm amazed at how many men are actually listening, so that they can inspire their daughters to also have that same thing and support their wives by being more feminine, because I think they also recognize that when women move from that and are stronger, that the world is a better place.
Yes, it's. I just remember now that you mentioned this. I kept a lecture some years ago at an international conference about the feminine power, which in the holistic yoga system is called Shakti. It doesn't matter the Sanskrit name, but it's the feminine power, or Shakti. And I said in the title of my lecture that it is a lecture for women. Mm-hmm. And at the entrance of the hall, it was almost an equal number of men who demanded to enter and listen to the lecture. And it really took me a little bit by surprise, because I was set up, now I will have a lecture only with women in the hall. But the hall was big enough, so I said, okay, then we will do like this. Women will be in the front of the hall, and men will be... No, actually, I put half and half. Half the room with women and half the room with men. And I said, I will address women, so you will have to be like you are a little bit spying on us, or we will reveal our secrets to you, but please, if you have questions, wait until the end. So it was... interesting to see the fact that men really wanted to understand more about the feminine nature, not only because it was the conference was a little bit focused on this with polarity between men and women. So there were lectures for men, lectures for women. But I had till the end, I had the lectures for women with men attending it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I do believe that men, honestly, I think they want to give up the stress and anxiety that they also suffer from by having to always be on and having to always be outward and driving and want to feel some of that opportunity of learning to surrender more, and that they are nurturing, right? And that they do have this sense. And I think when we both, from both the male and female perspective, really engage with some of those, I really, really do think we can change the world, be more creative, and can manifest so much more, so much faster than we currently do, just from a one-sided perspective.
And I also tell when I have, because I lead groups for women, I also tell them men are as sensitive as women, but they don't show it because women taught them when they were boys that if you are a boy, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't show feelings, but they also have feelings, and they are as sensitive as we are, but we taught them to behave in a different manner. So it's for me, it's a fascinating world to understand the feminine psyche and the masculine psyche, and to be able to have harmony in between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
So with your courses, do you coach only women, or do you have also men?
So I mainly coach women. My courses are initially designed for women. I am looking at expanding those to creating some for men, where men have the safe space to do it with other men. But the next area that I really want to target is teenagers in high school, where they have so much influence. And even if I can target teenagers, both boys and girls, on engaging with their feminine energy in a way that actually makes them more successful in their future and creates more harmony and balance in them when they grow up, is the area that I really, really want to spend time in.
It sounds brilliant, and it's needed. It's needed because it's quite a little bit of, from my perspective, it's quite a big confusion nowadays exactly about this. What is the role of a woman and what is the role of a man? And as long the confusion stands, you cannot get great results, no matter if it's your private life or your professional life.
True, so true. And so this is why I think if I can actually work with women right at the moment who are in that age of being mothers, and they don't have to be mothers, right? I am not a mother, so I don't have children, but I want women to have that strength so that they can communicate it out to people of their age and then for me to be able to go in and really kind of make an impact on the generation that is just coming up and going to be starting to get into business and running the world. If I can work with them and change their mindsets and their philosophies on feminine energy and this balance, I think it's got a great world ahead of us. So
yes, I believe that too, and I am so enthusiastic about our conversation and our vision upon life and the feminine nature. I hope that maybe we will be able to come up with a way of collaborating and doing something together. Who knows?
That would be absolutely fantastic. I would be all in for that.
Great. So where people who want, or women who want to come into contact with you, which is the best way to do that for them?
So I think the best way, the place I spend most of my time is at Nancy Michieli Coaching on Facebook. I also have a Love to Be Me, which is the basis of my program, is helping women fall in love with themselves. So that's the point of Love to Be Me. I'm also available on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. And I have my own website at NancyMichieliCoaching.com. So if people even want to reach out to learn more about RTT and my program, I do offer free consultation. So that first session with me, just to kind of see where it makes sense to go, is free and available for anyone to sign up for.
I will put all the links in the episode so people will have the possibility to access them directly, but it's good also to hear about them.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming to this episode, and I really am super enthusiastic about speaking with you and sharing the same vision and values and love for women, because I am almost sure that you have the same. So you cannot do this without really having a deep state of love for women.
Yes, very true. And thank you very, very much for having me as part of your show. I'm so grateful for that, and I just look forward to collaborating with more and more women on getting this message out there. So I think this is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, Nancy. I have a wonderful evening, and all of you listening to us, I wish you a happy, stress-free life. Until next time, take care. Bye. Subscribe and get access to all the training videos, those already published and the ones on their way. I wish you a wonderful day.